Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht, for part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me today on this beautiful Wednesday morning is my good friend, Rylan Stiles. Rylan, what's up?
What's up, Andrew?
Just wearing the same clothes I did Monday. No big deal. Nothing to see here. We're going to answer more questions from you guys. Very much appreciate everybody for asking, and we're going to try to answer all of them that we can. From at M20 Workman said, I asked this question last year, but with a new roster, I want to ask again, what lineups would you deploy for the following scenarios? When you are down 5 and under a minute left. I mean, obviously, like the three guys, Shea, J-Dub, Chet, are going to be in every lineup. I want Dort out there. And then it's like, who are we playing is the question. And that's kind of the beauty of this Thunder roster is like, it's not going to be the same answer every time. It's about like, who are we playing? So if they're playing a really big team, give me Hartenstein. Let's play a jumbo lineup. And then to me, it's either going to be Hartenstein or Caruso from there. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I could see the appeal for like a Shea, Caruso, Joe Dub Chet situation. I could see that being beneficial for the Thunder in some cases, in some matchups. But ultimately, your bread and butter, like I think that your basis will be Shea, Caruso, Dort, Dub, Chet as your starting 5. I think that'll be your best lineup, and usually your best lineup covers the majority of these situations. But ultimately, I do think that you'll see if you're down 5, they've invested so much in Isaiah Joe's defense, and he's gotten so much better. If he takes another step forward, especially defensively, down 5, depending on how much time's left, you might just want to go full offense. And you can do that with Caruso 40% from 3, with some really nice cutting ability. I think a better cutter than Dort. I think a better rim finisher than Dort, better playmaker than Dort. And then defensively, you can scale up 1 through 4 defensively. Then you have Shea and you have Joe hitting threes. You have Dub and Chet. So just for the sake of like being opposite, I will say that lineup.
Okay. How about up 5, under 5 minutes left? Maybe that's where the lineup that I said maybe makes more sense, where you have just more of a defensive lineup.
Yeah. Up 5, I think especially if you're playing a bigger team, you can just play some suffocating defense with Chet and Hartenstein together, where Chet's like in this Jaren Jackson Jr. role, and he's playing that archetype defensively, and you have Hartenstein at the rim, or however you want to work that out. And then from there, you still have offensive ability. Like Hartenstein's a really good playmaker for his position. He's the best screener on the team to open up lanes for Shea and Dub to drive off of. Like you have a really, really solid lineup there to hold on to leads, especially.
Yeah. And then halfway through the first quarter, the starters are cold and we need a spark.
Wiggins has to be in this one, like for sure.
Yeah, Wiggs has provided a spark. I think Joe provides a spark in that group.
I think Caruso provides a spark, but we're going to consider him a starter.
Yeah.
Kaysen, Joe, Wiggs, Hartenstein.
J-Dub. Do you think?
Yeah, I'll say J-Dub. I was going to consider him like a starter, but I guess not all 5 starters would be cold, obviously.
Yeah. And there's usually not hockey lineups.
Yeah. Really haven't seen that since the not so fun times.
Yeah, for real. That's true. Let's see. Next question at OG Wiseman. If you had to cover a different NBA franchise, which would you want to cover? How about a franchise in a different sport, assuming your family is happy to go wherever? So if I was forced to go cover somebody else, I would probably, how about the Miami Heat? Is that an okay answer?
Wow. You heard it here first. Andrew is just like the rest of these millionaire players who want to leave Midwest for the shiny, no income tax Miami beaches. Wow, Andrew.
I hadn't even thought of the no income tax. This is even better.
and see he's laughing at you on his way out the door. You've given him the best years of your podcast listening lives, and at the first chance he gets, he's going to South Beach.
I have no other like fandom or loyalty in pro sports outside of OKC, and so yeah, I'm going like pure weather. Yeah, that's. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think living in Miami wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I think that like for our specific jobs as podcasters, I would like to stay in the NBA because I just think that the formula of how you curate NBA podcasts year round is like probably the best sport is the NBA. Basketball truly does like never stop.
Yeah,
In this instance, you have maybe a month to fill of like what are we going to talk about today? Who knows? We'll figure it out.
yeah,
But other than that, 1 month a year, you've got something to kind of fill your time. So I don't think you get that with the other sports, especially not baseball. That was brutal.
yeah,
I'm doing a baseball podcast daily. So it would be between like the NBA and the NFL. The NFL space, it's just not for. I don't know. I don't know like how you would do that in terms of like there's very talented people that do it, but I personally would rather do the NBA.
yeah.
So I'd I don't know who I'd go cover though. Dallas would be one that I would go to. Selfishly, you look at Dallas and it's like, buddy, you're tapping into a big United States market,
Hmm.
but you're also tapping into a massive fandom in Kyrie. Like there are Kyrie fans that will follow him to any team. So
Hmm.
that's another uptick. Then the biggest uptick is Luca. I mean, you have an entire nation behind you of Luca fans who will listen to every pod, which
It's
more
true.
listeners is more cheddar, if you will, and no state income tax, and I don't lose my you know values of Oklahoma compared to the bright lights of South Beach. It feels I can sell the listeners on like I'm just down the highway rather than I've left you for South Beach. I mean, might as well go to Golden State, Andrew.
I considered it. I haven't been to San Francisco before, so I don't know. I don't know if that's someplace I would want to live. And it's also so crazy expensive. I'm sure Miami's also expensive, but you got beach year round in Miami.
The only thing that would be tempting would be like the college route of covering a college. Now the recruiting stuff, it's very hard for me to envision like getting into recruiting, just because like when I do draft prep, I talk myself into every high schooler because I'm like, oh my gosh, these guys are awesome. Like it's hard for me to see through because I'm naturally more optimistic, as you probably know, Andrew.
Hmm.
As we held on to Darius Baisley for a long time, and so whenever you see them in the high school realm, it's hard to purse through. Okay, he looks really good, but like, can you do this at the next level or the level after that? So the recruiting stuff would trip me up, but the pitch would be like you really do get to cover every single sport: softball, baseball, basketball, football. Like you get to do everything to where it's always fresh and similar to the NBA. When does college not have something going on?
Yeah,
Especially if you're like a power school like an OU, who like they care a lot about softball in the spring, they care a lot about football, and then Okies, of course, like basketball. So you can go and cover a team. We're always busy, and I like that aspect of it. So if I had to do something else, I'd probably try to look into the college route.
yeah, it's not a bad idea. I think that there would be something really fun about just like being the guy, on a college beat too.
Yeah, yeah. It being
Shout,
the Andrew Schlecht of the OU beat, you would be. Whew,
shout out to Eddie Radosevich
Radosevich.
who
I
dominates that beat. So
You're a literal guy. I just really admire his work from afar, but you're a literal guy,
yeah, that's my
Eddie
guy.
Radosevich.
Yeah,
Um, and like if my ultimate dream of like play by play, oh, college would be the thing because you just get to keep doing all the sports and not have to focus in on one. But I would never turn down even a G League job with
yeah,
basketball play by play. But podcasting for sure, NBA. It's so fun to podcast about NBA.
yeah. I agree. At ZZ4, who is the playmaker that is most likely for OKC to grab in the trade market that makes the most sense? How about a guy named Nikola Topic? Think they could get that guy? I just don't think like they need another playmaker at this point when they got this one waiting in the wing. Do you agree?
Yeah. I think that last year table setting in the playoffs really cost them. You're banking on how do you see that shaping out this year? Now you saw the workout videos of Chet Holmgren. They were very encouraging of like shot creation, which can fall into the playmaking bucket from Chet. And he did have a couple passes in those workouts, but mainly shot creation.
Yeah.
You've gotten one of the best big men passers in Hartenstein to go with, I think, the best big man passer and J Will besides Jokic. In terms of like secondary guys with J Will. So like those are two avenues of which you can help playmaking. Does Kaysen take a step forward? I think Caruso really helps your playmaking with the addition of him. So I could see them making it work and being an improved playmaking team this year. I could also see that like the currency of the trade deadline is second round picks. If they go into this season with an open roster spot, as they've historically done as contenders, if you can just get another playmaker for a couple seconds at the deadline, I don't really see a harm in that for Oklahoma City. And it could pan out that they could use the additional second unit help, especially if you're going to start Caruso and Dort together, and depending on how you want to stagger out those lineups.
Yeah,
But I think that can be covered though by like going back to the lineup question. If you just had the first quarter play out as a typical first quarter where the Thunder are good, last year the Thunder kept Shea and Dort on the floor in the first quarter and took out Dub and Chet and Giddy. You would then be taking out Caruso, Dub, and Chet in this scenario, and you'd have an uptick in playmaking from all three guys.
Mm-hmm. I think there's also an element that they want to give Case and Wallace just the ability to just get better as a playmaker too. And so
Yeah.
I think this year's actually like a good gives is going to give him enough before Topic comes in and is going to take some minutes at least to begin the season. And then if he's good, he'll take a lot of minutes, moving forward. So I still think that while this is a contender and they are going to be one of the best teams in the NBA, there is still going to be some patience required with some pieces of the roster, if that makes sense. And so it's not full fledged. It's not like fully formed. This is not who they are going to be. There are things that are going to get better. There are players that won't make it that we think are going to make it. That's just a part of like the evolution of an NBA roster. And so Presti always makes trades. With that said, like Sam always makes trades. I think that we were going into last season thinking very similar thoughts about like, oh, like, is there really even somebody they need to trade for? I think that we had, hope for like Oos to play big minutes. And so I just think like there's things that are going to evolve and change from what we think now to when we actually get to see them play to where like get to the trade deadline. It's like, yeah, maybe they do need one more piece, and so maybe they will trade for a playmaker. I don't know what they'll do, but there are pieces of the roster that we just don't know about. We don't know what improvements Casey Wallace will make. We didn't get to see him in summer league, and if he makes a jump between year 1 and 2, I would not be surprised. And then 2, I think like they have adequate minutes for him as of today, so I don't think that they necessarily need to make a trade anytime soon. At Globor_DFS, describe your dream for a new press area in the new arena. What do you think, Rylan?
My dream. I will say that they take care of us already. So I can only imagine like what the new arena will look like with all the bells and whistles and different avenues. My first and foremost dream is something that they took from us. Either like I don't know how the contracts work with what they supply down there, but Colombian coffee. We used to have Colombian coffee K cups, and we no longer have them. And then now it's Green Mountain, which I don't know if Green Mountain is a sponsor of the pod, but not my cup of
Definitely not.
coffee.
Definitely
Uh,
not.
definitely not. I mean, can we get some high quality bean down there? I would love that. But that's really just stuff that no one really cares about. So I would just say I would like to handpick the coffee selection, and I'd be willing to do it for free. If the good people in Oklahoma City want to allow me to give them a brochure of bean to bring to the new arena, I'll be glad to do it.
That is your dream.
Yeah, I'm easy to please, Andrew.
That is your dream. I mean,
Wait, what's your dream? What am I missing here?
What about like a podcast studio that we could use?
Yeah, I like the intimacy of our podcast setup right now.
Oh, you don't want to change it. You're not.
I would ask for one more white chair. Yeah.
You mean, yeah, when we do the 3-man
That way Joe can have one.
somebody's got to sacrifice the nice white chairs. So you want at least one more nice white chair. Okay.
Yeah. And I could go for some color in that room if we're just, dreaming here.
Yeah,
I could go for
we're dreaming. That's what the question is. We're dreaming here. I would say give me a podcast studio with a raised table that's not near the ground. Maybe
I will say that was a safety hazard for us. You did knock your computer off at least once.
I did. Yeah,
last year.
It was just horrifying.
Yeah, because me and Joe are very like over the top nice people. So every pod we have to do the song and dance. Like, no, you get the good chair. No, you get the good chair. You get the good. Getting to cut that out. We kind of race to take the bad chair, which like getting to just all have a good chair. And not that they're bad chairs, but the white chairs are just the executive padded chairs that you just feel.
Yeah.
I mean, a podcast setup would be awesome. But I like the homey feel of our little huddle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like you, where I'm like, I have no reason to complain about any of our current accommodations. I mean,
I would say that, like, to your point, the media workroom is more laid out for writers, which is like the more predominant of our field. So I don't use the workroom because I don't want to bother anyone with like they're trying to write their stories, and here I am yucking it up on a podcast. Yeah. So having a separate, or like attached space to the writers where you can like not bother them, but also you can still work there. That'd be cool. But
that they may never go back to this, but go back to the old locker room setup, which is just obvious when I even say it out loud. It's like that's probably not going to happen. And then like give us the courtside seats again, for every game. They took that away last year, and I can't complain. Sitting up in 104 is not bad at all. But there's just something different about being down there. You just get to experience a lot more.
Yeah, I mean it's totally a lot of fun. We used to sit there for blue games. We still now sit in 108 for blue games, which is really fun. But like you mentioned, everything's good. I would say that like a closed Wi-Fi could be good.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if like that used to be a thing, but a closed Wi-Fi just so that way fans can have because like wherever there's fans and media all in one, sometimes the bandwidth, of course, like it's just not going to be able to handle it some games. But they usually are fine with the Wi-Fi. Like the Wi-Fi usually works really well. But I really can't because here's the thing. Even like playoff candy, like I wouldn't want playoff candy for a game in January. Like the playoff candy is a special thing. So I wouldn't even request that. I would request more chicken finger nights. Now, everyone I've ever talked to at the media dining, like they swear to goodness that like they've never had these good chicken fingers. Maybe I just got off of Willie Nelson's tour bus and all of a sudden I dreamed up of these chicken fingers. But like there was a night, and it was a special night of the best chicken fingers I've ever had.
Really?
It was at the Paycom Center.
Ever
had at the Paycom Center in media dining. I'll never forget it. It was a special night. And no one else I talked to on the beat has this same connection to these chicken fingers.
Yeah, I don't.
But
definitely don't.
I would really like that. So that and like an additional, because we usually get one, but an additional breakfast for dinner day.
Yeah. I was at the game, but I think I was with my kids at the game, and so
we all were sending you pictures of this cereal and everything.
Yeah,
it was sad.
Yeah.
It was like the SpongeBob meme where like you were watching us run outside with the cereals.
I was Squidward. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I just request more Mexican barf,
Oh,
shout out
Mexican barf.
Shout out to Mexican barf night. That was, and if you don't know what Mexican barf is, this was coined by, it was either Royce Young or Fred Katz back in the day, where it was just like this Mexican casserole that just looked real gross, but it was delightful. And so we all would get excited about Mexican barf.
You know what we've had an uptick of last year at the end of the year was hot dog and hamburger nights.
Yeah.
I'm pro that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you don't try to do too much, you kind of less is more type of thing.
Yeah.
You can't mess up hot dogs. You can't mess up hamburgers. I imagine it's much easier to prep than some of the more lavish things that they do.
Yeah.
Just throw on some hot dogs and hamburgers and be done with it. I think was a great option.
Yeah, I'm with that. A lot of arenas for the media will just have hot dogs out all the time. So
Nerlens Noel, famously.
yeah, and I can speak to the quality of the dog in Dallas is really good.
Yeah, the Glizzy's good in the AC.
I don't blame him. This is good in the AC. I don't blame him. Okay. At Kiwi Greg 5555. Do you see any possible buyout players in the 24-25 season that OKC could go after, as hard cap teams cannot sign buyout players? Good. It's a really interesting question. Here's the deal.
Thunder are hard kept at the first apron, not the second one, which is good.
Yeah. They'll have room to sign a buyout guy. Buyout guys just like name the last buyout guy that actually helped the team.
Caron Butler, Derek Fisher.
Yeah. I mean,
I think that this trade deadline for the Thunder will be like really sort of uneventful. I think they're going to do something. Like Boston, whenever they traded for Muscala, they did something. Like they went and got Muscala. How much did Muscala really matter for them in that playoff run?
Didn't matter.
It didn't matter at all. So I think that they can use these seconds and use this open roster spot, or just like the question is stating, like go on the buyout market, which will then be the essence of making a move. But so long as you're healthy, these are your guys. And like, so long as you're healthy, you've already got over the required minutes for the postseason and for even the regular season.
Yeah. I mean, you really just have to like look at like the oldest players in the league, that could get bought out. Like Kyle Lowry was a buyout guy last year. Like would the Rockets buy out Jeff Green, 37-year-old Jeff Green? Maybe the Rockets are set to not make the playoffs again. Perhaps that's a guy. And it'd be kind of cool to get Uncle Jeff back in OKC. Boy, that's all I got for you right now. Sorry.
Yeah, because a lot of these guys, like just looking at the 25 free agents, like Dorian Finney-Smith, for example, is a free agent technically on Spotrac for 2025. They would just trade him for a couple seconds. Like they wouldn't like really reach the buyout market, I don't think. Even though he'd be a guy that I think people really like for the Thunder and have liked for the Thunder. So it's tough to see like a true buyout guy this far out, because a lot of the buyout stuff is like a team isn't in contention, and like you have to see the season play out for like how it goes that way. Like for Houston, for example, like how far away from the play do they need to be where they just give up on Jeff Green, kind of buy him out and move on? Could it be where they're still in contention, but they do it anyway because they're playing the young guys more? Like you don't know the storyline behind why they hit the buyout market right now at this moment. But I think that's why you keep the open roster spot for the time being, of just like to keep your options open, keep flexibility.
Yeah. Also, Jeff Green's like almost like a center only at this point.
Yeah, and now you have three centers.
Yeah, and now it doesn't.
And you have Kenrich Williams to fill that role. Do you think that Kenrich Williams is a better 5 than Jeff Green would be?
Probably.
I would go Kenrich there.
But also, Kenrich is probably not going to play when it matters most.
Yeah, and I don't think neither would Uncle Jeff. But the nostalgia play would be fun.
It would, especially if they won a title and it's like Jeff Green got a title with OKC before Kevin did. It'll be great.
Yeah.
It'll be great.
Yeah.
Okay, Medicine Clam has some rapid fire questions. Who's more likely to make the All-Star game this season? He didn't say this season, but I'm saying this season. Chet or Dub?
Chet,
I agree. Who leads bench minutes for OKC?
Hartenstein.
Yeah, probably Hartenstein or Isaiah Joe. Because that's going to play just a ton. Do you agree the first play of the first preseason game will be a Hartenstein corner three?
Yeah, I mean, after how much that they talked about Hartenstein threes, and I imagine they'll talk more about it on media day. I imagine that like first training camp practice, Andrew, we're gonna be standing there like this, looking at video of Hartenstein shooting threes.
Oh, I know.
And I do wonder what Hartenstein's court's going to be. I selfishly, I hope it's our court that's closest to us, like the old good court. But yeah, we'll be shooting videos of him shooting threes. He's talked about it. We'll ask about it over and over and over again. So I think that he's going to have a 3-point night, maybe against the Breakers and be okay. And like he just launches 6 of them bad boys and gets people really excited. And then we'll see what happens in the regular season.
Then he takes none in the regular season. It won't be the first play because I don't think he'll start. Okay. After the clear top 4, who are the other West playoff teams?
So, like, clear top 4, they're obviously meaning Oklahoma City, Denver, Dallas, and Minnesota.
Yes.
Next up is Memphis for me.
Oh, okay.
I'm in love with this Memphis team.
Okay.
And I think that they could sneak into the top 4, but I'll grant them 5 right now. But I think Memphis is next up.
I'm gonna go Phoenix next up.
Okay.
I think
you're a KD guy. Always have been.
I'm a Durant guy. I think the Tyus Jones signing is really, really big for them. I think that he's the kind of player they didn't really have, and like they actually have done a pretty good job. You know, they've got these kind of 2 caretaker point guards on their roster now with Tyus Jones and Monte Morris, who are both like obviously not great like starting level guards, but we're talking about like all they've just got to set up these other players, and they're both low turnover. They're both, you know, guys that can fill a role. I think they did a really good job getting those 2 guys when they basically had no flexibility at all. And so I think that's great. And then like I'm not a huge Ryan Dunn guy either, but I think Ryan Dunn can like play a few minutes off the bench for them in a pinch. So I think Phoenix is I think they're gonna be good. And you get another year of them together and kind of figuring stuff out. And a new coach as well. So I think that they're set up to be a good team. Now, I don't know that I would pick them to win a playoff series, but then they would be in a 4-5 matchup at that point. So I'd probably go Phoenix. I'd probably go Memphis as well next.
Yeah, and I'd go Phoenix next. I mean, Phoenix was a game out last year of being in the 4-5 game. So I don't think that's crazy. It was because I do also love the Jones addition. So yeah, I will then say we have the same top 6, the top 6 for us.
So there's 2 more teams that make the playoffs. I'll go Sacramento, and I will go New Orleans.
Yeah, so I'm going to go New Orleans as one of them to make the playoffs. And then I do think that I think that the Lakers survive the play-in tournament and that they get in.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that Sacramento will be a better team in the regular season than the Lakers. But I think that the Lakers will survive the tournament and get in. So depending on how you want to look at the top 8.
Yeah. I think having DeRozan, I don't love the addition of DeRozan, but I do think at the end of games, like he's going to help them quite a bit.
Where are you at on the Clippers? Like how far of a tumble there?
I mean, just
who are you taking out of the top 10 for Memphis? I should say.
Who am I taking out of the top 10?
Yeah,
I don't think Houston makes it. I don't think San Antonio makes it. I probably have the Warriors over the 2 LA teams. I actually kind of like what the Warriors did. I think like they're in the mix there. I mean, I think there's a chance the Clippers just miss in the play-in entirely. You know,
Ooh,
depending
on big news in Oklahoma City. But yeah, depending on Kawhi, I mean,
it's all about Kawhi from there because, like, I mean, I don't know. Harden is still a good player, but Harden in year 15, I mean, I feel skeptical that he's actually going to deliver, you know, on this next deal for them. especially with the roster around him. He doesn't have a lot of help, and he just can't be. I just don't think he can be the focal point of an offense. So, I don't know. I just don't believe. I think they've also added some just strange players to the mix for their locker room that I just don't quite get why they would want to make those risks there. So I don't know.
And then you look at like DJJ and like how much of that step up was with the Luka effect of like him making guys around him better.
Yeah.
Do you get that consistently in LA? And like when you're talking about surviving a marathon of an 82 game season in the Western Conference, where like everybody's trying to compete, even teams who we've kind of written off already, like we don't think San Antonio will make it. San Antonio will not be like a rollover, beat them up every single night team either, though, even though we don't think that they're going to make it or where they have a big play at it. They've added enough to like where they're going to be competitive. And you saw them somewhat spoil the standings at the end of the year that gifted OKC the 1 seed. So like I think that they could do the same thing, only at the bottom of things for the Clippers, who they can't handle an injury. They can't handle a 3-week, this guy's going to miss a couple weeks here and there, and still kind of get to that end goal. So I think that of the likely options, I think that the Clippers are high on who would come out for Memphis coming in.
Mm-hmm. There would be some extremely disappointed fan bases in the Western Conference at the end of the season, like extremely, because like Lakers or Clippers don't make the playoffs, it'd be extremely disappointing for either franchise. If the Warriors don't make the playoffs, extremely disappointing. Pelicans, same. I think Rockets, again, same. It's gonna be really tough in the last 6 spots just to make the play in. And there's going to be a really good team that doesn't even make the play in the West. I mean, it's going to be insane.
Is there a shot that the Thunder are playing a playoff game the night that they win the Cooper Flag sweepstakes?
Yeah, of course. I'm counting on it.
That'd be the dream scenario.
We'll have to bring back the Lively Beer Works beer. The dream scenario for such a night.
If that happens, I will chug 3 straight dream scenario Lively Beer Works beers at any time you want me to, on any podcast, anywhere.
Okay, done. We will just produce 3 if we have to, just for that moment.
Yeah, I mean, and we can make it any sort of beer that you want, but
okay, this is great news. Okay, at its_day. I know you're not a betting man, but this isn't necessarily a gambling question. But do you think there's a case for Chet Defensive Player of the Year as the best defender on the best defensive team in 24-25? His odds are a plus 1,500, which seems great to me. The answer is yes. There will be a case for it. I think whenever you take out Giddey, add Caruso, and then you just get to add Hartenstein on top of what you're already doing, there is certainly a case to be made that the Thunder could be the best defensive team in the NBA next year.
I think it's a very strong case that they are the best team in the NBA defensively.
Yeah. And so I think, yes, if they do catch Minnesota and they're the number 1 defensive team, I think that it's going to be, and Minnesota is the same, where there's like a lot of good candidates there, but I think that usually it goes to a big, typically in this case. And I think that Chet is going to defend 5s. I think he's going to defend 4s and 3s as well this year. I think he's going to be out on the wing a little bit more than he was last year as a defender, where they play these jumbo lineups and you're like, oh my gosh, look at Chet out there defending Paul George or whoever. I think like that is certainly possible, and I think he'll do a really good job. So yeah, I think my hope is that he shows more versatility as a defender this year, which I think is 100% possible. And so yeah, no, I think while I'm not a betting man, I do like those odds as well.
Yeah, I like the odds. I think that there will be a strong case locally, but we've seen at these awards, like the voters, it's very narrative driven. It's very much, kind of like perception and everything like that. will he have done enough to overtake who we've already crowned Wembanyama the next 10 depoys? So like, will he do enough to overtake that? Who knows? But I think that like all the smart guy picks will probably be Chet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. At Zach Deeg wants to know, is Giddey's Olympic and FIBA performance an indication of how he may play in Chicago? Color me skeptical that they're just going to give him the keys to the offense in Chicago and just let him just be the man there. Maybe they'll do it, but Kobe White was really good for them last year, and I think that they want to develop him a little bit more. And so, however, I do think the way to maximize Giddey, and if maybe that's the mandate this year, is like we made this big trade for him. He's due an extension. Let's completely maximize this guy and see what we can do. Then yeah, it could look a lot like this. I mean, there's a chance that you get through halfway through the season and Giddey's averaging 18 points, 8 boards, 6 assists per game, and Caruso's averaging like 7 points, 3 boards, 2 assists per game, and you're like, what gives? Like that is certainly a possibility that we all need to like be aware of, is that like statistically this may look lopsided. But we all know that Caruso's contributions aren't just counting stats. Like there's a lot that he contributes to a winning team. So I wouldn't fear that or whatever. Like I think that is probably a foregone conclusion that the counting stats are going to go in favor of Giddey, but I still am a little skeptical of what's going to go on in Chicago, just because I don't really believe in the direction of the team or the front office or any of that. So I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But yeah, it's probably something close to this.
Yeah, I mean that's his ideal role, and I think that he's for sure going to have better counting stats, points, rebounds, assists than Caruso. But that's not going to mean that this trade was not perfect for the Thunder. I think that even the game against Team Canada where Josh Giddey looked incredible in the first half, 15 first half points. He was held to 4 points in the second half. He is best when he's running the show. He's not good enough to run the show for the entire game, even in a truncated game in the Olympics in a must-win scenario. He was not good enough to do that. That's not a knock on Josh Giddey. He's 21 years old. He shouldn't be expected to do that, right now anyway. But that's just not where the Thunder are at. They cannot. They can't give him those opportunities to be the best version of himself on the ball, leading the team. He didn't want to accept that aspect in a bench role, and so that they had to move on. And you could not have done any better moving on from a guy who had the worst year of his career as a pro and getting back in return Alex Caruso, who just seamlessly fits what the Thunder are trying to do, both in the starting five, off the bench. And like Caruso, there will be probably no bigger upgrade in the NBA than what the Thunder are going to do to upgrade their starting five with Caruso in place of Giddey. And for Giddey, you now get an opportunity in a contract year to be playing closer to your ideal role with a guard coach, a guard whisperer, if you will, and Billy Donovan, which will help him. So I think it's the best of both worlds for each side in this trade. But certainly he's playing well in the Olympics. He was never, ever, ever, ever going to get to be Olympic Giddey in Oklahoma City, ever.
Yeah. Yeah. At Chatham's 33, rank the best fast food breakfast sandwiches / foods.
This is right my alley.
Have you had you've had Chick-fil-A breakfast?
Yeah, Chick-fil-A breakfast. It's I think my number one. Might not be the way you think though.
What do you get?
Have you ever had a Chick-fil-A sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit?
Sausage at Chick-fil-A.
I'm telling you, Andrew.
Wow.
It's good.
Sounds like blasphemy to me. I mean,
yeah, I don't know how they get away with that, given their whole marketing is like eat more chicken and everything. But goodness, is it good?
I believe you. I always go breakfast burrito at Chick-fil-A.
Do you do the sausage breakfast burrito?
No, heck no.
What do you do? The chicken?
Yeah, Chick-fil-A.
Okay. Yeah, Chick-fil-A just has the best breakfast in terms of like you can go chicken minis, you can go burritos, you can go sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit, fruit cups. You can do whatever you want to do.
Fruit cups.
I do think of the fast food fruit. Chick-fil-A is the best fast food fruit.
Oh, by far. Yeah. Because if you're going to like McDonald's, it's like in a bag that you have to like.
That fruit has been there since the 80s.
It's
People don't go to McDonald's for fruit, folks.
it's so
Spoiler alert.
it's so bad. Hey, by the way, speaking of McDonald's, I was driving through New Mexico. They have Hatch chili double cheeseburgers in New Mexico
Secret menu item out there.
at McDonald's, and I got one. We just had stuff.
Oh, Andrew.
I just have to go to the bathroom, and
Yeah, I imagine you did.
actually, it settled fine. Just so everybody knows, it was unbelievable. It was so good. It's like,
were you just wanting to feel something? Like, why did you do that on a road trip?
I've got a strong stomach. So,
Okay.
yeah, I don't fear spicy foods.
I mean, listen, your family was, I mean, God love them. They were in the danger zone for a while there. At any moment, they could have been really suffocated.
There's some risk involved there. However, it did not result in anything, and it was awesome. And like my wife and I both like Hatch green chilies. So, and like they were fresh. It was just, I just didn't even know that was a possibility.
McDonald's third best sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit.
What's second best?
Brahms.
Dude, yeah, 100%. Brahms breakfast is a obvious number 2. I would even say 1A, 1B to Chick-fil-A.
I could go there. 1A, 1B for Chick-fil-A. McDonald's has moved down because, like, if their sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit is good, oh, it's really good. It's really good. But you could go there, the biscuit's burnt. You could go there and the biscuit's undercooked.
Yeah,
you could go. They just, there's not enough consistency for me. Our good friends at Brahms, our good friends at Chick-fil-A,
yeah,
they're going to be consistent. And I implore you, the next time that you're in the mood for some breakfast and you're up around Chick-fil-A, try out a sausage biscuit from Chick-fil-A. be unorthodox like Dylan Jones and try out the sausage biscuit from Chick-fil-A.
I'm trying to think. I might go Whataburger 3.
Yeah. Whataburger 3. I don't love their biscuit texture for their sausage, egg, and cheese biscuits, but I love their breakfast burritos, or I guess they call them taquitos. But
yeah, they do.
Those are fantastic. Honey butter chicken biscuit, fantastic.
Yeah, really good. It's a lot though.
Yeah, I mean it's gooey, messy.
It's too much. It's
yeah. What are we doing here?
But I do like. I mean, it's good. Like the first 3 bites, unbelievable. But then
your hands are all sticky. You feel like we need to poo afterward. I mean, it's just not good feeling.
Yeah, it's not great. Let's see. We'll go maybe one more question, then we'll get out of here. Dun, dun, dun. There's so many good questions. Thank you guys for asking. Really appreciate it. We gotta end with a bang here. Let's see. Okay. How long will it take Shea to overtake Steve Nash as the greatest Canadian player of all time? This is from an NBA report.
This is interesting because I think that from a true Canadian aspect of it, if he medals with them, he did it in FIBA. If he does it in the Olympics, I think that they care about that way more than his NBA career. I think that they would care about that way more than they would care about a 2-time MVP in the NBA.
I think if they medal this year and if he wins one MVP, I think people will be
because you've medaled in FIBA, you've then medaled in the Olympics, you've had 2 top 5 MVP finishes, and then won the award at some point. Then I think that he could be, especially in the eyes of Canada, he can overtake that. Now, maybe there's some sort of, and again, you a little more age than I, maybe there's some sort of Canadian basketball player I'm forgetting, but maybe Steve Nash, being the first transcendent superstar from Canada, it's hard to beat him out just because he's the first. But I do think that they would care more as a country, since neither one of them played for the Raptors or did anything significant for the Raptors as of this moment, that they would care more about the medaling aspect of it than the 2-time MVP thing.
Yeah. I think, if they somehow got silver, or if something crazy happened and they got the gold medal, I think if they got the gold medal, he would take
Yeah,
that.
if they got gold, that's over right now. If he is the spearhead for dethroning the USA in basketball, it's over this second. And
Yeah.
Steve Nash has already called the race for Shea, but I don't agree with him. And I think that as of right now, there's something special about, like, you can make the argument that Steve Nash is the best point guard, passer, whatever. You can't quite make the argument that Shea's the best at any one thing, the way that you can for Steve Nash, no matter how flimsy you might think the argument is. So, like, that helps him. The 2 MVPs help him, but I can't get over how much meddling would do, especially whenever you, like, even for the FIBA World Cup last year, like, the stats were crazy. Like, the last month they medaled in that was like the 40s or whatever. Like, they had not medaled in quite some time in basketball. So he's already done that. Now, can you do it at the Olympic stage, either this year or in 2028 or whenever? I think that would put him ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too. Like, if you were to just like match up skill for skill and everything, I think that I would take Shea over Steve Nash. But also defensively, it's
not even close.
It was tough for Steve, but he was a great player, great player, and it's really just how highly everybody thinks of Shea, like what he is, because he's a truly great player, and he has still a lot of his career to be played out. How old was Steve Nash when he won his MVPs? Because I mean, he was older. Let's see. How old was he whenever he won the MVP? Okay, so he's 30. So he was 30 and 31. So we still have a while before Shea even reaches the age that Steve Nash was winning his MVPs.
And it's already this close.
Yeah, exactly. And Steve Nash was a really good player in Dallas, but his final season in Dallas, he averaged 14 points, 3 rebounds, and 8 assists per game.
Yeah.
And
Shea has already won 1 Northern Star Award. I imagine he'll have plenty of them in the future. So, like, he's won the award there. He'll have medaled there in 2 different aspects. And then he gets an NBA MVP if he wins a title, like things like that. And he's a guy that like does not at all hide his Canadianness. Mm-hmm. So it's like, even if he wins in Oklahoma City, it'll still be like a huge aspect of it. Him and Dort, they always talk about their background and they always talk about that aspect of things. So I think that should count for something as well. Yeah, I think that he has a very good shot to be the best, and him and Steve, that's great company to be in, him and Steve Nash.
Yeah, it's wild. Steve Nash won the MVP, averaging 15.5 points per game, 3 boards, 11 assists.
Wow.
Not to say that he's undeserving. Like, that Suns team was very much like the team of the regular season, 04-05. But boy, that just seems wild to think about. I don't think anybody could win the MVP in this NBA, averaging 15 points per game. No. I just don't think you could do that. Okay.
Does he finish top 5 MVP for the 3rd straight year, Shea?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think so too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that you're seeing like D Wade and these other NBA veterans like come out this summer talking about how he should have won MVP. That maybe that lends itself to not a make good MVP, because like Shea will still have deserved it because he'll put up the same crazy stats he did last year, and they'll still be the best team in the West. But like I think that'll curry some swing votes.
I think he's gonna win it.
Yeah.
So there you
it's
go.
Gonna be sick. You just spoiled your season preview though.
The whole thing.
Yeah, it's all over now.
Don't even listen. All right. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks to Rylan for joining this week here on Down to Dunk to help answer some listener questions. Hope everybody's doing great, enjoying your summertime, enjoying the Olympics, and we'll talk to you guys again on Friday.